You can absolutely get to a point where your calendar is full and you're not making the income you want. And that is not what I want for you. A full calendar and hustle is not growth. It is not a sustainable, scalable path. Guys, I am so excited to bring the next season of the Big Money Strategies podcast to your ears. This season is next, and it is talking about all of the reasons and all of the ways you can call in the next 100K into your business. And there are so many women that can hustle and muscle their way to, 100 grand. But that next 100 grand, where that big kind of scalable growth lies, that is so hard to achieve if you haven't got the right business model. So next is all about helping you call in that next 100K, see the real problems in your business that are holding you back to your next 100K, and how do you step into that strategy so that it actually works. I am super excited because we're talking like revenue leaks, we're talking visibility, we're talking myths, we're talking about some of the things and building upon some of the concepts that we talked about in Known. But let's be honest, you can absolutely get to a point where your calendar is full and you're not making the income you want. And that is not what I want for you. I know you've likely been heard to post more, sell harder, show up online every day, be consistent. And that's what, pain point marketing is telling you is the quote unquote problem. But in reality, that's not the issue. So I want to talk about why your business could be struggling for that next 100K. So we're talking about things like why your calendar can be full, but your bank account still feels empty. What are these hidden revenue leaks that you're seeing where you're hustling, but you're not actually scaling? What are some myths about visibility and marketing that are wasting your time? Why so many regional women feel like the best kept secret in their industry and they're just not able to make that jump. And then obviously, this is a big one, the difference between being busy and actually building a business that grows. So in this first episode of your next 100K, we're going to dive into busy, booked, and still broke. And I just feel like there are so many women that have full calendars and don't have the full bank accounts. And I think it's totally realistic for so many of you who are kind of in that, maybe you're teetering somewhere between 80K, 120K, 50K, where you're like, I am in hustle mode. And you feel like you're still financially stuck, even though you're fully booked. And so there's probably feels like I'm missing something. Everyone else seems to know more than me. I'm missing key information. And because of the way the online market is, you feel like you're constantly looking and seeking out more information. And I truly believe that you actually have all of the information that you need, but you have outgrown the business model that got you here. You've outgrown that business model that got you to that 80K, that got you to that 100K. And so when we're looking at your next 100K, it's got to look different than that first 100K or that first 80K. So your next 100K, this is where it's not about, work harder, be more consistent. It's about structure, it's about systems, and it's about strategy. And all of that ties back into things like your messaging, your offers, and your clients. So this is where we're going to really uncover why busyness is not growth. Because busyness is not growth. A full calendar and hustle is not growth. It is not a sustainable, scalable path. And so I know, and because you're in it and you're in the thick of it, that this full calendar is kind of equating to an empty bank account. And I want us to start moving away from a full schedule that doesn't mean it's profitable and it's just full for the sake of being full. And I want us to move away from this concept of I need more clients, and move into something that's much more scalable. Because if your business is capped, and if your business model and your business hours and your capacity is capped already, you can't outwork that. You can't outrun it. And so if you are feeling right now, nodding your head, yes, I am busy. Yes, I am booked. And yes, I'm still feeling broke. Then this season is so good for you. this season is literally made for you, because we're not talking about hustle. We're not talking about harder work. It's about clarity. It's about what's really going on inside your business and learning how to fix it, because I want you to have that clarity around how do I build momentum that is sustainable, spacious, and actually works for your life. Because I don't think that we should be sacrificing to make more money. I am extremely passionate about women with wealth are powerful. And so that is my goal. Like, let's put more money in the hands of women. So that's kind of where I was coming from when I was thinking about this next season, when I was thinking about what do I really want my clients to be hearing from me. And it is around that, like, it's okay for us to have money. It's so good for us to have money, because that is power. So let's dive into this kind of frustration that you're probably feeling around working harder and not moving forward. You know, you're probably doing everything right in the background. Like, you're posting on Instagram, you're sending out the emails, you're doing the client work, you're lodging your baths on time. Like, you're doing everything right. You're ticking all of the boxes. You're attending the master classes. Like, every time you attend something, you're like, I'm already doing that, or I know that. This is not new information. And that is because all of that information is for that kind of first 100K business model. It is not necessarily built for scalability. Marketing. It's just marketing. It is that whole idea of getting fast results, doing hustle to make money. But this is where marketing and pain point marketing and what we're seeing online doesn't equate to a scalable business necessarily, because we need that strategy. We need to understand, how can I strategically either bring in more clients, or raise my prices, or switch my business model for growth? What systems do I need to introduce into my business so that I can essentially grow without necessarily adding more to my plate? And what are you doing already in your business that you can really leverage to support that growth? Because I don't want you hustling and saying yes to everything for your next 100K, because that next 100K is going to be so much harder to achieve with your current business model. So this is where we're, instead of doing more, we're saying yes to less, we're refining, and we're getting even more specific. So your next 100K is about, clarity, focus, and smarter structure. There is this whole idea of, or a metaphor that I really enjoy. And that is, like, we built a house and now it's time to build the second story. And on the second story, you're using different materials than you do. Like, we don't need a concrete slab on the second story. But for some reason, you're spending all of your time trying to build this concrete slab on the second story. And so I really want to make sure, like, we're building that second story with the tools, the systems, and the strategy that we need for growth. Like, the foundation's there. And it's not an issue of skill. It's the wrong blueprint. So I want you to start shifting your perspective and recognizing that scaling is going to need maybe a different model, different tools, not necessarily more hours. It looks different, and there's got to be a shift there. So let's talk about what scalable really looks like. There's often kind of 4 problem areas that I think arise when we are talking about a scalable business and a business model that has gotten you to a point but hasn't necessarily gotten you to the next point. Offers being either underpriced or unclear. So, like, offers aren't feeling super aligned to ideal clients, and that they're not really sure what they're buying, or you're so underpriced in the market. And when I talk about someone that, has made 80K, has made 150K, like, you're not brand new. So why are you charging crazy prices like you are? Crazy low prices. You're not brand new. So, like, let's price appropriately. That's a key problem area, is around offers in terms of their structure, in terms of their packaging, how unclear they are. Something that I see consistently is that, we're still going back to that hourly rate when it comes to pricing, and you're ignoring all of the actual inclusions and value add that offer contains. So it can often be a packaging problem. And if we can fix it so that it's packaged correctly, it's priced correctly, that can really help with scale, because we're no longer chasing a crazy amount of volume, at say $100 an hour. We're now restructuring where we're value-based pricing rather than hourly rate. So that's kind of a core problem area with that next level of business is we've got to have those offers so clear, so concise, and just get that right. Now, another area that is often holding businesses back from that next 100K is their systems are just too manual. And I have a lot of systems in my business, a lot of systems that I've built from, scratch that do include automation, that are linking different programs. And even my shift to Kajabi, I made the shift to Kajabi, I think in 2021. And that even now I'm like, oh, there's things we could do better. And so but it is a very scalable system where not everything is manual. Now, when you have automations at play, it makes your business so scalable, and it makes it where onboarding, offboarding, client delivery, marketing even is so much easier because you have all of these kind of automated things going on in the background. Now, I think in the age of 2025, systems and automation also includes AI. Like, we need to be using AI. So if you're finding tasks or delivery, things in your business are taking a lot of time, then there's possibly the ability to add in either delegate to team, automate, outsource, bring in software, bring in AI. Like, there are so many options that we have to turn your systems into a really scalable, supportive thing for you and your business. So we went through offers, we went through systems. So next is visibility. If you are struggling to scale right now, visibility, messaging, having that core message that people really connect to and attach to, that give you that authority, that is likely lacking. If you are playing in visibility, posting on Instagram, ticking all the boxes that you've been told historically that you need to tick, but you're still not getting results and you're still not scaling, it's likely because you're too broad. Your clients aren't thinking, oh my gosh, it sounds like she's in my head. And so it is that visibility, that core message, that being really specific, that element of specificity that we absolutely have to have in our visibility. Or conversely, you're too deep in client work that you do not have the ability to be visible at all. That could be part of why it's a problem area for your scalability. Now, the last piece is sales, where you're just kind of reactive with your sales. You're not really strategic. You don't really have a plan for when you're bringing people into your business. You're kind of happy for whoever comes along whenever they come along. And while you might be thinking like, this sounds like a lot of work, I believe it's actually about simplifying and not necessarily adding more. Like, simplifying your offers so that we've got one core offer, simplifying your systems so that they work on repeat with automation, simplifying your visibility so that we have that one core message that you anchor into and creates that authority positioning and is the thread that ties everything together, simplifying your sales so that it's very clear this is the process and this is how I move people through it. So if you're feeling like I need more of all of the things, I actually think it's refinement and it's probably less. And I also just want to throw this idea over to you of like, what would your business look like if you do restructure, but instead of having, 20 clients at $500 a month, hitting that lovely 10 grand mark, it's suddenly, oh wow, I only need 5 clients at $2,000 because I've fixed my offers, I've upgraded my systems, the client delivery is insane and they're absolutely loving it. Now I have time to be visible and to really own my authority, and I can create a sales system that brings people in. Suddenly, by shifting your price, and you're probably like, there's no way I can charge someone go from $500 to $2,000. I'm going to challenge you on that and say there was a time in my life when I was charging someone $20 an hour. So this was what they were paying. They were paying $20 an hour because I was heavily subsidized by the government. And I recognized that I was kind of missing my ideal client in this whole subsidy thing. And I just decided that I was calling it quits. So I called it quits and I stopped doing the hourly rate at $20 an hour. I let all of my clients know, like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm no longer going to be doing this program. I'm shifting over here. I've got a $1,200 coaching package. You're welcome to come join me over here. So I went from $20 to $1,200. And in doing that, I was no longer underpriced. I immediately increased my authority in the market. My systems became so much easier because I was no longer trying to manage hundreds of clients, and I was literally managing, I think in that first coaching intake, I might have had 8. It was so simple. And then it really was about that elevation of visibility and that elevation of authority. And from there, I was able to strategically plan, okay, when do I want to bring in sales? When do I want to start having kind of intakes and really building my business around that? So scalability often, just to recap, goes back to offer, systems, visibility, or sales. And it's not about doing more. So when we're talking about your next 100K, those are kind of some of the levers that we have to pull and that we have to play with. Now, I will say that some of those levers look different for everyone, and it's about figuring out which levers and where your gap is that's going to help you go from where you are now to where you want to go. But I think there's a lot of like shame in the current pain point marketing ecosystem that we live in. So I want to remove any shame and say it is got nothing to do with you lacking information. It has nothing to do with you not working hard enough. It has nothing to do with you being behind, because honestly, you have built a business that works. Your business is working. Just because it feels like it's not working perfectly or you can't hit that next level of growth, it is working. And I just want to celebrate you for that. Like, building a business that works, building a business based upon hustle, based upon muscle, based upon being busy and working your ass off is something to celebrate. Like, that is something to celebrate. So I just want to sit in this moment with you and say, yes, congratulations. You've built a business that works. Now we just need to tweak, we need to simplify, and we need to build one that grows. We need to build that second story of your business. It's not about survival. I want you out of survival mode, and I want you starting to think about scale. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I will be here next week for the next episode of your next 100K in the next season. Thanks, guys.